Hello, and happy Friday. It is the end of another week here on Team Ray on the campaign to elect Ray McGuire as the next mayor of New York City. And I am so thankful that you would join us this evening. It's a Friday. I know everyone has been on Zoom calls. Our candidates have been on Zoom forums. And so we welcome you this Friday evening to have a relaxed conversation with our candidate and get a recap of what's happening here on the campaign. This week, I'm not going to do the recap. We actually have a great person that will give us a recap of the week on Team Ray on the McGuire campaign. And that is our campaign manager, Basil, who has a few words of what's happened on the Ray McGuire campaign for mayor.
Hi, this is Basil Spiker Jr., campaign manager at Ray for Mayor, and here's a Patrick Ewing-sized update from inside the campaign. This past Tuesday, Ray was endorsed by 28 sports legends, including Patrick Ewing, Tiki Barber, Charles Oakley, Willie Colon, and Lori Tisch. Now, you know just as well as I do how important sports is to the culture and economy of New York, so we're glad that these leaders came together to talk about how Ray can lead the greatest, most inclusive comeback that New York City has ever seen. I, for one, am excited because I remember seeing Patrick Ewing in his first home game as a Knick, so I'm so glad to be working with him to get Ray to be the next mayor of the city. We've also launched our first TV ad. That's going to go all across the 5 boroughs on multiple channels and networks, and it'll help us get information out about who Ray is and how he's going to lead this city. You can do 2 things to help us. First, go to rayformayor.com and sign up to get more information about volunteering or about our plans. And 2, donate to our campaign so that you can see more ads like this go up on the air.
There's a candidate for New York mayor who stands apart from the rest. Democrat Ray McGuire, the son of a single mom. Ray was raised on the other side of the tracks with 2 brothers and a half-dozen foster kids. Thanks to hard work, his mother's love, prayers, and some luck, Ray made it all the way to Harvard for business and law school. When he got to Wall Street decades ago, Ray McGuire was usually the only black person in the boardroom. So Ray made sure he wasn't the last, mentoring dozens of young people who came up like he did. Now McGuire's running for mayor with a plan to lead the greatest and most inclusive comeback in New York history. Because as millions struggle to recover from this pandemic, New York needs a mayor who understands what it's like not to have and what it takes to make it. And as we work to revive our economy, a mayor who understands what businesses need to survive and grow. Read the plan at rayformayor.com. Ray McGuire, a mayor for the greatest comeback. Paid for by Ray McGuire for Mayor, Inc.
And welcome to the conversation, the candidate that we were just talking about, Ray McGuire. Hey, Ray.
What is happening? Friday night, Joy. I don't know how you got Basil. Basil was in that. I'm just like, Basil was like all decked out, had his cut cleaned up, had hair shaved a little bit, went to the barbershop, COVID protocol. I'm saying we was kind of all right. I saw Basil there, man. I got excited. But I'm funny anyway. I'm funny anyway. I've been laughing at myself all week long. People say, Ray, you got to laugh. You got to smile. Okay, so I've been laughing and smiling. I got a lot of jokes I've been telling, but I laugh my own jokes because I'm really funny.
Well, yeah, you're really sometimes funny.
Oh, sometimes. No, I don't do it sometime. Y'all sometime me. No, I don't go sometime.
Well, first I have to apologize to people because I told them we was going live at 7 and you got here at 7:06.
Okay,
so I feel like
I was trying to be. Listen, my view about time is that if you can't be on time, be early, unless your 95-year-old mother-in-law wants to talk, or your 95-year-old mother wants to talk. Otherwise, y'all be straight up with you. They want to talk. I gotta ease my way out of that. So that's what happened. I would
just like to point out though that anytime I bring up something, you throw in your mama or your mother-in-law as the excuse, and I feel like you're using that as a magic spell.
No, I don't mean to. I only rely on them when I'm telling the truth.
Oh. Well, it is Friday night, and you have been, how many, you said we had you on 5011 Zooms this week?
I don't know how many Zooms y'all had me. I was on a whole bunch of Zooms and a whole bunch of forums. You go on these forums, you got to talk they give you a clock.
Right.
I'm on the clock. I've been on the clock for a while now, so I may be a little giddy. I mean, normally my funny self.
Could it be something in your cup, however, that is contributing?
I do have a glass like this, so y'all can't see what's in that. So I covered it. And I got a clear glass like this. So,
Okay. Just a little something.
Just a little something. Yeah.
On a Friday night to, cure all of the Zoom and the forums that are happening and sort of wind down for the night, if you will.
It's commemoration.
Got you. Well, I mean, but you say that you actually enjoy having these conversations with voters, talking about your plan for the city and hearing from people, even in their questions, hearing their experiences.
I got to tell you, one of the great things about this is just that, Joy. It is sitting listening to people. The best thing is when I can interact. Mm-hmm. Right, which is one of the things that I feel so anxious about. I want to get out and talk to people, and I've been able to do that. Clearly, COVID protocol in place, but I've been out talking, and it's been great. But the exchange that happens both in person and on Zoom has been quite inspiring. I've learned so much from people about the issues that they're confronting, which are real. This is not playtime here. This is real. And you talk to the civic organizations and the question and answers that occur. And then you actually, beyond the civic organizations where you have some of these, what we've, kind of meet and greets, we're talking to real people. And this is New York. New York is speaking out. They care. They're involved. I'm inspired. I'm encouraged. So we're out there.
Right. So we have a couple of New Yorkers that are waiting in the wings, if you will, to talk with you. And
don't have waiting in the wings. New Yorkers don't like waiting in line.
Well, I'll take the heat, but I do have something to share with you. One of the other things that came up this week that the team put out was a video from one of your mentees, and he wanted to share just some of his experience working with you, as you mentioned, not wanting to be the last. You talk about that all the time. So we wanted to share that with folks. And then when we come back, we have a couple of folks waiting in the wings to ask you.
Oh, Lord, I have no idea what these kids are saying. No idea.
Oh, Lord. Here we go.
I think he's really focused on New York because he sees that now is a time to get more people involved, to help other communities really have a seat at the table and have their voice heard, which is something he's fought for his entire career. New York now more than ever needs strong leadership. And unfortunately, I think that's something that New York has been lacking in the city in particular very recently. I think it needs leadership that's all inclusive, leadership that understands how to nurture and develop talent at a really young age and develop them to be leaders within their own communities. And I can attest to that, right? Having, being one of Ray's mentees. I think it also needs leadership that has a really primed focus on business development and helping businesses and marginalized communities capitalize on those businesses. And I think Ray's expertise and experiences play very nicely to that. But I also think it's a cultural element. I think it's time for New York City to get someone in the seat that can speak to several different types of cultures, several different types of people across socioeconomic classes. And I think given where Ray started before his career on Wall Street, ultimately to where Ray is currently, I think he's the perfect person to be able to tell that story, but also share the blueprint on how those things can be achieved. And I think that's the kind of leadership New York needs right now and is really inspiring to have.
So Ray, you share with us a lot about your experience with your mentees. Talk to us about Melvin.
Melvin Pena. The last time I saw Melvin was with his lovely friend, and they stayed with me all day. And we were in the Bronx. And one of the first things I learned, they were something that I don't hear that often, but they were, I probed a little bit more. They told me they were pescatarians, one of them. And I thought that was something Greek. And then they told me that they only eat,
Fish.
Yeah, fish. What do you call it? Pescatarian?
I think that's it.
I think I got it right. They told me that was like a shocker to me. He'd lost a lot of weight. They were looking good and fit. And I'm thinking, how you doing that in the middle of COVID? And they said, we're pescatarian. They blurted that out. I'm in the middle of the Bronx trying to figure out, I better kind of figure out what the language is. So they eventually told me. And Melvin is someone I've known for, probably since he was finished college.
Mm-hmm.
Very promising, just huge talent and a huge heart. And Melvin was so committed to making certain that he had the right goals for himself and had the right ambition. He clearly had the talent. We just needed to invest in the talent, which is what he's doing now. So he had a very successful time in business and decided to go on it and prove himself and expose himself even more by going to graduate school. I couldn't be more proud of and happy for Melvin, the companion in his life, who's a lovely young woman. And they stayed with me all day. So it is clear that they're committed. And he comes from the neighborhood. He comes from the Bronx. And we convene, a few blocks away from where he grew up. So to have Melvin where he is today is what we want for all of our kids, all the people who are the aspiring ones, who are the leaders of the future. And Melvin is stepping up. I'm so happy for and proud of and honored and humbled by him spending a little time with us. So Melvin is one extraordinary young man.
Wonderful.
And so thank you. Thanks, Melvin. Wherever you are, it's Friday night, so I figure y'all probably out fishing.
Oh, my goodness. I'm not going to even give you more space to do anything extra with this because we have some folks waiting in the wings to talk to you and to ask you questions.
I told you I was funny. I told you I got some game here with the comedy. I need to go on a comedy tour or something because my stuff.
I would not suggest that at all.
That was pretty good, right?
So I want to bring up the first New Yorker to have a conversation with you next.
Do these people pescatarian too?
Oh my goodness. I don't think Gayla, are you a pescatarian as well?
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
We need to hear you. We can't hear you.
Yeah, we gotta unmute your mic. But while she's doing that, Gayla is a leading venture capitalist and published author. She works with entrepreneurs to help them build and grow successful companies. For those of you who read Cranes, she had a great feature in Cranes earlier this week. So welcome, Gayla and Ray. I know Gayla. Are you pescatarian? Let's start with there.
So I know what a pescatarian is because my mother is, which is crazy to have this like Black woman from the South not like eating chicken or meat anymore. Like I still can't wrap.
I don't know. Friday night she may have that fried perch. I don't know what I'm telling you.
I mean, listen, she makes an exception for some shrimp and some some
I didn't say shrimp, that fried perch. I'm telling you.
There you go, catfish.
That's what she told you? Now y'all come like she got some baked tilapia.
now you're just getting fancy. You're just getting fancy.
Ain't nothing fancy about baked tilapia.
Oh my goodness. Well, Gail, I know you wanted to talk to Ray about his big comeback plan and a few other things. So I'll let you guys get to it.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, by the way. I'd get Cranes. I was so happy to see. That's like you blew up. That's like all in. That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. No, listen, this work is culminating because this is a moment in time where people are looking at women, they're looking at tech, and they're looking at entrepreneurs. So we just happen to be, doing the work and people are seeing it. But listen, happy Friday. The last time.
Happy Friday.
It is. And the last time I saw you, we were in the back of the car. We had just come from a New York Police Department event. And we were singing some songs. And you, sir, have a good singing voice. And you knew all the words from them jams back in the 90s.
Come on, I got some skills.
I was like, people need to know that Ray knows his music. Like you could be a DJ.
I'm saying.
I'd rather you be mayor, but you could be a DJ.
I can do the mayor thing. Do when I get up there, I'm going to be nice on the 1-2s. I'm good, right?
There you go. Now listen, tell me this, because you said you were talking a lot this week. Tell me, what are you most sick of talking about, and what will you never get sick of talking about?
What was I most positive about?
No, sick of talking about. Like, what are you sick of talking about, and what will you never get sick of talking about?
The thing that worries me, that I really get sick of talking about which there's no outrage, is our children and education. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. It is just, and it's gotten worse during COVID, this huge digital divide. Kids got no broadband. They got no tablets. They got no broadband. Gail, I am sick and tired, and ain't nobody said anything about it. Zero, bupkis, right? Nothing. 65,000 kindergarten. We all talking about what are we doing with the gifted. What happens to our kids?
Yeah.
2,500 go. What happens to 62,500 kids?
Yeah, I love that you're talking about it, and you're making us talk about it too. And I love in the comeback plan that you talk about tech and innovation, and that's front and center. Because what we really need is to be making this a tech and innovation destination for people, right? For companies, for investors, and for talent. And I run a venture capital firm, right? Walkstar. We invest in women of color tech entrepreneurs and their diverse teams, right? But we got an issue in this city. Now, one is capital, and we can have a whole nother show on that. But the thing that people aren't talking about, and I love that you are passionate about this, is there's also the expensiveness of being in this city.
Oh.
Right? So whether it's being able to hire, being able to provide living wages for the talent, whether it's office space. And so I'm feeling like we need a system level change around that. And that's where your mind goes immediately on these issues. But how do we get the best minds in New York City to make this the best city for tech and innovation?
So what we need to do is have people like you at the center of this. As you said in my job program, go big, go small, go forward. Go forward all has to do with investment. Has to do investment in MBEs to make certain that the allocations that we give to the entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of color, who have been excluded, $3+ billion of dollars spent in COVID, a rather de minimis amount, spread to MBEs. And I'm being clear about this, and I'm being intentional. I never get tired of talking about the creation of wealth and the creation of opportunity. Never get tired of talking about that.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, as I think about the world of the future, and I want to be clear, Gail, we've had some great days historically, but many of us have been excluded, which is why I say the largest, most inclusive comeback. We need to change the entire paradigm.
Yeah.
It ain't worked.
Yeah,
it has not worked.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I had a conversation with someone the other day and they said, Gayla, do you invest in green? Do you invest in technology? And I said, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if we didn't invest in those areas. Like, we as a city, we as a community, we as people, like, we cannot miss out on this green and this innovation revolutions that are coming.
Well, you got to participate in it. What you do, Gayla, is just that. Your venture capital, your early stages. You identify the companies that are going to grow, and that's where you invest. It, by definition, has to have technology. It's got to have green. It's got to have innovation. Otherwise, you got no place to invest.
Exactly.
You're on the line. People need to understand you have dollars available to invest in the future, which is what your vision of New York is. So we need you. We need to give you more capital. I want to be clear. You need to have more capital, not too much, because your venture capital.
No, we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Okay, listen. I'm trying to blow you up.
We'll take all the capital you want to send this way.
I got you. We need you to be big. We need you to have not one fund, not two funds, but 3, 4, 5 funds, which is how I'm thinking about it. Okay.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And I love that you're at this intersection of industry titans, community leaders, educators, tech, investors like us. Like, this is how we get this done. Like, this is a system-wide call to action that you're putting out for us. I love that. I love that. Let me switch gears on you real quick. Last question. Switching gears on you. You know, we talk a lot about arts and culture. And actually, see this art behind me? Do you remember a game called Skelly? Did you ever see that game out in Brooklyn, right? Where you have like the bottle cap and you'd like try and get it into the numbers?
Yeah, the numbers. I remember the numbers.
Yeah, and you have a little bottle cap and you sort of like flick it. Well, this is by a brother in Brooklyn named Steve Kogel, very talented Black artist. But here's the thing I worry about. I want to understand how you think about this. Is we talk a lot about a creative economy, but I'm not sure people are talking about the individual creators, right? And so when I think of like the Boogie Down Bronx and the rappers that came out of Queens, like, how do we think about individual rappers? Because film tax credits, right? You can do a lot around that, but it's not hitting those individual creators. And I see this, right? I worked with Ghetto Film School, bringing the first cinema high school to the Bronx, right? That's individual creators. And I'm curious, what are you thinking about that? And how do we help?
So it used to be, Gayla, that we had so many recording studios, right? You could go to Midtown at, 10 or 11 o'clock at night, starting there, and you see all. Okay.
For the record, I wasn't cool enough to be invited. You was at those studios.
No, I heard about it. I
thought you was hanging out.
Where'd you think I learned them lyrics? So we need to create artist designated zones, not only for the singers and entertainers, but for the artists, for the visual artists, for the performing artists, for the graphic design artists. We need to curate spaces and incentivize them to be here. It used to be that we were the mecca for the artists, individual artists, photographers, painters.
Yeah.
We need to go back to that, right? And so my vision is to create just that, just for the artistic sentiment that I have been able to develop over time. I didn't grow up with it. Gayla, we rode our bikes past the Dayton Art Institute. I didn't know anything about art. So don't let me like come at you like I'm all grown up early. Okay, that didn't happen until much later.
Yeah.
So,
but you haven't forgotten. You haven't forgot where art.
I know where I come from. I come from the bottom. I'm good with that. I know the language of the streets and the suites. So what you're describing is just that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
But we need to, and I've got my time in New York where I've invested in artists.
Yeah, that's what I do. I've invested in emerging artists. So I buy art. I don't know if I'm any good at buying it, but I buy what I like and I buy what supports emerging artists of color. So I'm with you there.
All in.
Yeah, I'm going to throw one thing in there. Affordable housing for artists. Let's add that to the mix. And count me in. I'm here for it all.
Gayla, I'm in for affordable housing, but I'm in for workforce housing so that we become homeowners. I don't want us to be permanently. I'm so sensitive to this, right? I don't want to support the politics of poverty where they put us in a certain housing.
That's economic segregation. That's economic segregation. We don't need that.
Not only is that, but if I get to a certain income, I got to move out. So it keeps me there permanently. I don't want that. I want to be able to earn enough to be able to go afford, and I want to have incentives and support to be a first-time homeowner. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going for. Don't give me a handout. Give me a hand up. James Brown say, listen, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. You know, I'm going to my lyrics now. I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Just open up the door. I get it myself. Give me the opportunity. I don't need no handout. Don't give me no sugar rush and make me feel good. You keep me in the same position I was in before I had the sugar rush.
I love it. Well, count me in. I'm all there for it.
Thank you. Keep doing what you do. We need to get you more AUM. We need more assets under management, which means you all go and invest with Gayla. She knows what she's doing. She's got a track record. She's going to make you WEALTHY. I can spell wealthy. Let's go, Gayla. That's what it's about, okay?
Thank you, Gayla. Thank you so very much for joining us for that quick conversation. And please do not encourage him on this music DJ thing. Do not encourage him. That's the last thing we need.
I love it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Gayla.
So much.
Okay.
Okay, Ray. I did not plan for people to encourage you on these alternative skills.
You know, I got them. I'm glad you referred to them as skills. Now you're speaking with a level of accuracy that is commensurate with what my skill level. You say you don't want them to encourage me on showing my skills. Are you right? I got you.
Oh my goodness. All right. So we have you talked about education and you talked about investing, particularly in young people investing in education. The next person that I have to bring is actually a college junior. Lily is a college junior and lifelong New Yorker. She lives with her family in Manhattan. Hi there, Lily.
Hi, how are you? Good to be here.
Hi, Lily Carlson. How are you?
Hi.
Are you in like some millennial booth or something? Because that looks very cool.
No, I'm not sure what's going on with the lights.
That's like very cool. Wherever you are is very cool. I need to replicate that. That's like, okay.
It looks like some kind of TikTok filter or something.
I know like it does, right?
Yeah.
Look at you moving, Lily Carlson, Friday night. Go on.
So, Lily, I know you have a question about education.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I just wanted to say it's an honor to be here with you tonight. And I'm really excited to hear more about your education plan. And so the way I'd like to begin that is I actually attended one of your gatherings last week, actually with my mom, where you had a particular line that stuck out to me. And you said to imagine a life determined by a zip code. So if you could please elaborate more on your cradle to career plan, just because I found it so inspiring, as well as your plan for quality public education and early childhood development.
So thank you, Lily. Yeah, the lives today are too defined by zip codes. And what I outlined there was, if I look at 3rd to 8th grade, Black and brown kids, 70% are below proficient, which is all determined by a zip code. So we need to take quality education to our students. And my cradle to career is, while pre-K is good, we need to execute on it better. We need to expand it, because what happens is that by the time many of our kids get to pre-K, they're already behind. And what every mother knows and every child giver knows, but especially every mother, is that our children, as they're learning as they're developing. So I want to start earlier. I want to start at 0. I want to go to 4. I want to make certain we have affordable child care and that the parents, especially the mother, has the support that she needs. And then I want to make certain that by the end of the 3rd grade, every child in New York City can read. Why is that, Lily? Because between 0 and the end of the 3rd grade, all of the educators and all the science has told us that between 0 and the end of the 3rd grade, our children are learning to read. After that, they're reading to learn. We have all too many who by the end of the 3rd grade do not know how to read. And so we know the impact of that, which are the societal casualties that we have created because we didn't teach them how to read. And I want to be held accountable, Lily. I want to be held accountable to make certain that every child in New York City, by the time she or he finishes 3rd grade, that they can read. And I will do whatever it takes in whatever venues. I'll take the educators who are now so dedicated, and then I'll take the college students or the people in high school who are gifted, who have the inclination, who have the passion, and we'll certify them so that they can come in and make certain that every child leaves the third grade by being able to read. That's fundamental. I can work with it after that. We don't have a system, Lily, to remediate if somebody doesn't know how to read. We have not fixed that. And Lily, has gotten so much worse during COVID because when we went out of school and went home and went digital, the presumption is that every child has access to broadband and that they have a tablet. 40% of the people in NYCHA don't have access to broadband. Lily, we have 5,000 homeless women. We have about 12,000 homeless men. We have between 25 and 30,000 homeless families who don't have access to broadband. So we've lost a year or two for all those children who couldn't read before and who certainly cannot read now. And so what I want to do, in addition to that, I want to begin at the 6th grade to make certain every child has the access to clearly broadband, but access to making sure that they have digital literacy, that they have financial literacy, that they get exposed to becoming a doctor, a welder, a software engineer, a plumber, a botanist, an astronomer, whatever it is that they want to become. They get exposed and they get a summer job. So that between the 6th grade and the time they graduate, when they graduate, they have one of 3 choices. And the one of 3 choices is they can either go to that career to job for which they've been trained, and I've made certain that along the way, beginning the 6th grade, that I've developed public-private partnerships to make certain that the jobs exist. So by the time that they graduate, that they can do one of 3 things. They can go to the job that they've chosen, or they can go to a 2-year, 4-year college. That's cradle to career, cradle to job. So that is the overall plan, Lily, but I know that I need to intervene today because I got a crisis on my hand, given what I've told you in terms of the number of kids who are below proficient between 3rd and 8th grade. So we got to address it. It's an urgent situation, Lily. It is a great question, and I'm excited that you ask it because that's the future of this city. So thank you. And hello to your family.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Ray, I'm really, as you mentioned, and there were comments in the chat talking about the reading part, that we don't have a provision right now to fix that. We just kind of push students through to the next grade, which continues to hamper their educational success. If you get to a point where you can't read and you can't do math, you are consistently behind if you're not focusing on that. So I think that's a really important point to make. And I know we're going to have our full education plan soon, but earlier this week, we also talked about from the campaign, the Gifted and Talented program. And although I know you talk about it's a small percentage of the amount of students that are in the overall public school system, talk about what your approach to the Gifted and Talented programs.
So we've talked about the Gifted and Talented program. The thing that I am sensitive to be candid with you, Joy, is that we're focused so much on gifted and talented. We're so focused so much, of which there are 15,000 people who interviewed for it. We focus a lot on that. We focus a lot on specialized high schools. If I put the number of kids the 15,000 who've applied, whose parents focus on this in gifted and talented, and we're focused on one test, which clearly shows that there's systemic inequities there. Many of the people in the school system don't know that that program exists, let alone how to go and prepare their children for it. And we have a small part of the population who understands the rules of engagement when it comes to gifted and talented, and a much larger percentage who don't. So we ought to expand it, and we ought to change the criteria so that it's not a test, but it's an assessment that gets created by the educators and the parents, expand it and have an assessment. not have a test, because that is systemically inequitable. That's number one. For the specialized high schools, it cannot be based on a test. There's no effective educational institution anywhere on the planet that focuses on one test score. So I'm okay with tests being included, but we need to expand the criteria, as do all the great institutions. So we need to do that. And we need to stop focusing just on this. I got 30,000 plus 15,000, probably 2,500. Let's call it 32,500 kids in a system that's got 1 million kids. Nobody's talking about those other kids. Where's the outrage? Where's the outrage? Nobody's talking about it. No, who's talking about it? Zero, nothing, bupkis. We need to have some outrage, because what today is, we continue to support the politics of poverty. That's all we're doing. Let them go. We'll pass them on from grade to grade. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I know we'll talk about more of that when we get into detail on the Cradle to Career plan. But I do have another person waiting in the wings for you to ask his question. Lloyd is joining us on the stream. Lloyd is from Washington Heights.
What's going on? What's going down? How you doing?
Ray, nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Friday night, we're good. What's doing?
He's from Washington Heights. He currently works for the Committee of 100. It's actually a nonpartisan leadership organization of Chinese Americans whose mission includes advocating for greater inclusion of Chinese Americans in American society. And Lloyd, I know you have a question related to that and what's going on in the city now.
Yeah, thank you both so much for your time. And I really appreciate, Ray, you giving up all this time for all these Zoom calls. I know it must be very tough campaigning in this kind of environment. So
I think your generation created Zoom, man. That's what I think is going down, man.
Blame it on us, right? Yeah, and TikTok too.
That's you guys clearly did TikTok, because you guys are heavy users. I don't know what you're doing on Zoom, but okay, I got you.
Well, I wanted to thank you also, because it's through listening to all these calls that I've picked up bupkis as a word. I never knew what that was until I heard it.
Zero bupkis. It means you got nothing. You don't owe anybody anything, Lloyd. I owe nobody nothing. Zero. So you know what, Lloyd? My sole focus is on what's in the best interest of New Yorkers. I'm focused on, okay? That's what I'm focused on.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So I'll just, go straight into the question. So in the last year, amid the COVID epidemic, and especially in the last month, we've seen a disturbing rise in violence and racism against Asians, Asian Americans, including against women, the elderly, and even veterans. Just last night, there was an Asian American male who was stabbed in Chinatown. And my mom actually just told me that she's now a little too scared to go outside the way she normally would, even on the subway. So that's pretty concerning, I think, at a very personal level. And so, I'm wondering, how do you plan to specifically address this issue of anti-Asian racism? Will you devote real financial resources for things like the NYPD's Asian Hate Crime Task Force so that it actually has real teeth in combating anti-Asian crime? So yeah, love to hear your thoughts there.
So Lloyd, I find it, to be clear, I don't want anything lost in translation, Lloyd. I find it reprehensible. It is not something that any of us should stand for. These crimes began, but they began earlier than they were reported, Lloyd. This is, we had high incidents in 2020. I want to make sure that I get the data, but independent of me gathering the data, it's not right. And if any incidents of this, we need to, yes, enforce, support the anti-hate crime task force, whatever committee we need to put together, whatever organizational infrastructure we need to put together to not reduce, but to eliminate this. And the mayor ought to stand up and say, this is not something for which this city stands. So you will expect from me, and even before you expect it from me, what I will deliver is standing with the community to say, this is not something for which this city stands, not something for which I stand personally. And as a leader of this city, it's not something that I stand for. Full stop. Be clear. Bright, clear, unequivocal, nothing lost in translation, Lloyd. I'm there.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's great to hear. And I think especially because, your platform and your record is built so much on, I think, your business experience and your expertise in being able to really develop real solutions at a critical economic crisis for this city. I think for a lot of Asian American entrepreneurs, many of whom are immigrants, many of whom aren't just Chinese, aren't just Korean or Japanese, but also Bengali and from other areas in South Asia, Southeast Asia, they're thinking about how can we produce our goods, provide services in a safe way, and to they don't want to be victims of harassment or violence on the way to work, or when they're trying to deliver food or make food for people or other services. So I hope that in your future iterations of your economic plan, I know you spoke a lot about supporting minority-owned businesses. I hope that there's some sort of understanding of like the needs of the immigrant Asian communities out here, especially with that more racial tinge lately. So just wanted to get that out there.
So Lloyd, it is out there. I embrace it, and I embraced it long before you put it out there. So let me be very clear about this. This nation, this city, other than two demographics, Lloyd, one who was brought here under different circumstances, and the other who was here before anybody else got here. Everybody here is an immigrant.
Right, definitely.
Everybody. It's a city of immigrants. It's a nation of immigrants, but it's especially a city of immigrants. And what this city ought to represent is the support for all of those who have the ambition, who have the talent, who have the right work ethic, who are prepared to invest, who want a fair shot. And so I am agnostic when it comes to what that looks like, because as a 6'4", 200-pound back man, being one of the only ones in the business in which I've operated, I understand the challenges. But I also understand that what is needed is opportunity and support. So as I think about the go big, go small, go forward, it by definition is inclusive of immigrants, because it's by definition inclusive of every New Yorker. And I do not tolerate exclusion. That's why I call it the greatest, most inclusive economic comeback, because too many have been excluded, and going forward on my watch, they're going to be included.
That's great. That's great. And I really hope we can make sure that your message resonates with, the Asian American and the immigrant Asian community in New York, because I think it's really good. And I really hope, it can really sway some folks out there. I mean, I've been following this campaign since, when it was still rumors and like CNBC and stuff like that. And I really think, Ray, that you can really, swing and aim for the fences with these groups. So, I have a lot of faith in this. So thank you so much for running.
Lloyd, thank you. You mentioned faith. This has been a walk of faith, Lloyd. And I will tell you, it ain't about me, it's about we. And Lloyd, the other thing I want to tell you, ain't no cavalry coming. There's no cavalry coming. I don't care what you look at in the rear view mirror. You'll see only the horizon, and the setting of the sun. Ain't no cavalry back there, Lloyd. So that means I need you. I need all your friends. I need all of you and Lily Carlson's TikTok buddies. I need all of y'all. Whatever platform you're using, TikTok, you name it, I need you. Okay? Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, WhatsApp, Telegram. No one, Ray, no one is doing telegrams anymore. Lloyd, thank you so much. I got a whole list of people just sign up for Telegram. Lloyd, I don't know, you don't know anything about that, but I'm just
get on Clubhouse, Ray. Get on Clubhouse.
Wait, Lloyd, hold up. Wait a minute. Don't leave without that, Lloyd. I was on Clubhouse, Lloyd. You know what? I want to tell you something. Now it's gonna be total straight fire. You're gonna say that guy was lit. I talked to him. He was like, oh my gosh. Okay, Lloyd, you know what? I just want to tell you something. Lloyd, they said we're going to have 2,000 people when I was on Clubhouse. You know how many they had, Lloyd?
How many?
4,000. I ain't playing, man. Come on, seriously. We're out here to win, okay? Don't even think about it, man. No way. Lloyd, I'm going to call you about encouraging him.
Okay, sorry. I don't know. It could be anything.
4,000, Lloyd. 4,000, okay?
Oh my gosh, Ray. We do have some questions in the comments. We have about 10 minutes. I want to throw some of them at you because there are folks on a Friday night who probably have a little something in their cup like us, who are joining us to talk about your campaign and your vision for the city. So first up, I have a question from Linda Steele from Facebook, who wants to ask about seniors, about our parents and grandparents. They some folks are feeling that it's not a great place to age in New York City. When you call the senior hotline, it takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get a call back. What do you think about aging in New York City, and making this a more friendly place for seniors?
We have not done enough. And I think about that from the lens of, as you know, my mother and my mother-in-law, both of them are 95, and we're blessed to have them. We haven't done enough. We haven't done enough to bring them into the digital era. We haven't gone to sit with them or find ways to communicate with them, to get them tablets and broadband so that at least they have outreach. Just think about a senior who doesn't have the facility and doesn't have the equipment to interact in a digital way. We have not taught digital literacy. We are all, well, I'm not a digital native. I've immigrated into being digital. Our children are. And what about the seniors? Right? My mother's got a granny pad, and my mother-in-law's got an iPhone. My mother's got a flip phone. But think about the seniors who don't have access. We are not treating our seniors appropriately. It should not be the case that anybody calls a seniors hotline and doesn't get a call back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
we're
not
seeing
only
the same.
it's not right.
We're seeing the same thing in terms of getting vaccines, right? That not having access to be, I was able, I haven't been able to take the vaccine yet. I don't qualify, but my husband does. And I was able to go online and get him an appointment. But, we're seeing this disconnect of seniors 65 plus, if they don't have access to broadband, if they have a flip phone, them getting access, they have to call to get an appointment for vaccine. In addition to housing in New York City, if we continue to have rising housing, how are we supporting seniors to either stay in their homes or have affordable rentals?
So we have not put enough focus on seniors, and we have to focus on seniors. I envision having a seniors core where we need to make certain that we're COVID protocol, but identifying the senior population and having a senior score to make sure that they understand how to interact digitally, and making certain that they have tablets as well, and training them how to do that. It doesn't have to be, going and doing the things that the millennials do, but at least give them the basic skill set and give them the tools to interact so they can reach out and communicate. And we have done such a poor job, and I'm being generous. We have failed at this. We haven't done anything for seniors housing. So what are we building for seniors? And the seniors are the people who got us here. I wouldn't be here without the prayers of my mother and the prayers of my mother-in-law. 95 years old. Think of the people who are, in the 70s and 80s who just need a little support. Think about the senior citizens' homes where we can bring that support. We need to make certain that we have the appropriate services for seniors. And if there's a senior hotline, somebody's got to answer.
Right.
I guarantee you got a parking ticket, somebody going to answer.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. I want to switch gears. There's another question from, and I apologize if I'm butchering your name, Nunyo, to talk about policing. And I know we talked about that briefly last week when we put out the public safety plan. But, talking about your stance on policing just quickly, and how we reform and build trust with the NYPD.
So Nunyo Damasio, great question. Thank you. The way that we do this is I have a plan, Safety and Justice, which holds me accountable. It means the creation of a deputy mayor for public safety who's empowered to work directly on a day-to-day basis with the police department. I also want to make certain that we create an Office of Emergency Social Services to intervene, and my overall culture intervene where, because 4 of the calls that go to 911 have to do with mental health issues. We have growing mental health issues, so we need to have emergency social services to deal with that. I want to make certain that when it comes to accountability, that we have a chain of command. So not only will the officer who has perpetrated whatever aggressive act there is, but it's going to be the chain of command. The overall culture is what I call respect, accountability, and proportionality. The respect has been breached in large part because those serial abusers who are overly aggressive have never been held accountable visibly. We pay $200 million a year for that. So we need to address that. And my accountability focus on this does just that. And then proportionality, it's been said by many that if the only thing you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When it comes to Black and brown communities, it's often a sledgehammer. So we need to intervene and have proportionality be what we need to focus on. It also means returning to police, returning to community police, and it means to empower the CCRB with full investigative authority so that it doesn't take 48 days to view a body cam, they do it in 48 hours. Mm-hmm. So if you look at rayformayor.com, my safety and justice plan outlines my approach. I want reform, and better policing. I'm not for the language of defund. I want reform and better policing, community policing, chain of command, accountability rests ultimately with me, and a deputy mayor for public safety that's empowered to work directly with.
Well, yep. Love it. And folks are still putting in comments. I think we have a couple of minutes. Now, this is an interesting question also from Facebook. This is something that a lot of people are talking about. Krista Brenner asked, with the increasing number of commercial vacancies, as well as the unaffordable luxury apartments that exist, sort of how do we build new spaces or convert spaces for various uses?
So the answer is we haven't built appropriately. Just a couple of numbers, though, Joy. One, when we built 2.2 units of housing for every new job. Today is 0.5. The demand has so outpaced the supply that it's become way too expensive for most people to live here. And many of our people who make $30,000 a year are paying 50 to 60% of their income on rent. That is not acceptable. So we need to build truly affordable and workforce housing so that people who want to own can own. The housing stock that we have today is way too it holds our people hostage. If you make too much money, you got to move out. So that means that it's not, so that keeps you there, right? It keeps you at a certain income level unless you have the opportunity to go buy a home or buy an apartment. So we need to make certain that people who are aspirational in what they do, we need to make it such that they can graduate to the next level of home ownership. And those people who are transitioning into lower income from shelters into low income, we need to make sure that's available. So it ought to be a virtuous cycle as opposed to what we have today, which is a vicious cycle. Have this system make certain that it uplifts people and doesn't keep people at a certain level, and we get comfortable and confident with that. That is much more the politics of poverty than it is the politics of people moving up to the middle class and home ownership and dignity and the things for which we should be fighting today, but which we're not.
Mm. Well, Ray, it seems as if we've run out of time.
Never, L-Joy, never. Don't go. Please don't go.
Oh, no. We need to give you some sort of break. I can't have people complaining to me that we just have you in back-to-back Zooms on streams. You need to get some rest so that you can, continue this sprint.
Thank you. Because I'm all in tomorrow. I'm all in for a little bit on Sunday, unless I got to go, go work with Leo. He may try to dunk on me, so I got to make sure that doesn't happen. He's 8 years old, but he likes to dunk. So he likes to drop back and shoot that three. So I got to work on him with that. So it's been.
What are you doing tomorrow? Are you out in the streets tomorrow?
I'm out in the streets. Yeah, I'm out in the streets.
I'm going to be in my house.
I'm in Brooklyn and Queens. I'll be calling you. I see what you're working with there.
I'm going to be in my house.
Now. I see you trying to get all extra. I got you.
Well, Ray, we'll be back in the same place next Friday. So
Hey.
those of you who are watching, invite somebody to come and hang out with us, get a little drink on the side, and you can ask Ray some more questions about his candidacy and about his plans for the city. And as you can see, it's relaxed. You know, we're not gonna bite. Ray not gonna bite. You know, you
No,
ask
no,
your
I'm
questions.
good. You know, I'm a comedian.
Oh my gosh.
And I can do it on the 1-2s too. Y'all don't play me like Shorty. I'm telling you.
I'm going to tell you, those of you who are requesting now, you can email me, joy@rayformayor.com. Please know that I'm going to be screening people to not encourage Ray on these alternative skills that he has.
Because they straight. I can get it done. Okay.
Oh my goodness. All right. So yes, invite somebody to come next Friday. We'll be back at the same place at 7 p.m. You can learn more about Ray's plan for the city, his economic comeback plan, the most inclusive economic comeback plan.
Look at you being inclusive.
You know, inclusive, you know, just in case I might get a shirt, the most inclusive.
I'm saying you got to get that done, L-Joy. Don't leave that inclusive out.
If you are swayed to make Ray your number one, you can go to rayformayor.com to sign up, volunteer, and engage with the campaign and help us spread the word and spread the message to more people and bring more people to join us on Friday nights to have this laid back conversation about Ray's plan for the city. Again, rayformayor.com. You can follow the accounts on social media, Ray for Mayor, L-Joy Williams. All right. Any last words, Ray?
Thank you. No, I think you're going to edit me anyway. So I'm just happy to be with you, L-Joy. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Soon. I'll see you soon.
Oh, I know.
All right.